Hello, beautiful beings. I think we finally have a system that's working a little bit better. Sorry about the audio and video last week. I am just again trying to pull up YouTube comments. I've tried to put in some links there for what we're going to talk about today, so I keep my promise that I will give you links to those things. So I'm hoping to watch for anything that comes in. And as always, remember that you can contact me with questions at any time.
Hello, beautiful being.
Oh, there I am. I don't know what happened there. So we are.
Hello, beautiful being.
There's a little bit of backlog going on somewhere. Oh no, that's not what I want.
I think we find.
Okay. That may not work. Okay. So, if I miss your comments tonight, I'm sorry.
Have a system that's working a little bit better.
Okay.
Have a system that's working.
Just
about the audio and video last week.
There we go.
I am just
literally don't know what's going on. Okay. Anyway,
trying to pull up YouTube comments. I've tried to put in some links there for what we're going to talk about today. So
I see what's going on. All right, I have one too many windows open. Okay, back at it. Sorry about that. We want to talk about demystifying fitness. So I hope that the audio is catching up. Okay, demystifying weight loss. The reason I want to touch on this topic, and I had promised that we were going to deal with people's individual questions, but what I'm actually finding is it's not even just individual questions, maybe because we're really looking at general topics, but we're hoping to, I'm going to close this. I don't think that's helping us at all. It's universal topics is really what people are looking to deal with, because I think so much of the world is going through something similar that we're experiencing similar issues. And while weight loss is one of those universal ones on a good day, so I think we want to address it from a very non-traditional way of approaching it, because I think the big problem we have with weight loss is that we have sort of these traditional ways we assume, or we have these very trendy ways that we try to address these issues, and neither are working right now for very obvious reasons. So what I'm going to do is I'm really going to get into 3 key things that we overlook when we want to look at our weight loss issues. And those 3 key things stand true 100% in the sense that if we don't address them, we can't accomplish this. So the other reason I think is we're going through that point. This isn't your weight loss from, you want to drop 100 pounds kind of thing. And I know, people will say, oh, you've never had to experience that. And no, absolutely not. But I do, and consistently do, despite all that I share and know, have periods and times where 10, 20, even 30 pounds can become an issue. And more recently, I would say within these last 3 years, is I actually lost count at 30, because we were all experiencing something similar in that when we could feel the weight coming on, but you don't know why. It doesn't feel like you're doing anything different. It actually feels like you're doing all the right things that normally worked for you, and yet the weight still keeps coming on. And so you try to make a few tweaks and nothing happens. And then what we were all experiencing is this feeling of, okay, I'm going to make drastic tweaks. I'm going to really change everything I know how to change to improve this, and nothing happens. Like nothing, not even a slight improvement. If anything, it still feels like it's even getting worse. And a lot was going on for people, and I personally went through this with all of you, so I know exactly what everybody was talking about. And so I want to talk about that and what was going on and how we work around that, because it was a thing and it was a huge thing, and it actually was a glaring example of a piece that I have always taught on, but actually want to give it more, pardon the pun, weight these days, because it's huge, and it was a huge factor in all of this. And so what this is I'm talking about, and if you've listened to any of my other videos, you know I talk about it a lot, but this is a perfect example of how glaring of an issue it is and how it can hold us back from absolutely everything we want to achieve. And that is stress. And what has been going on universally, well, for decades, most importantly, most significantly for the last couple of years, is low-grade chronic stress. And if you don't address this, you cannot make health changes in your life. Your body cannot accept these. So this is really important to understand and to actually give it the profound attention, focus that it deserves, because you cannot make change if you do not address underlying chronic stress. This is hard for us to address because we actually don't think we're stressed, because it's how we operate every day. And I used to say, if you're sort of feeling any point of overwhelm throughout your day, even if it was just getting to work, that's low-grade chronic stress. But I was actually corrected even more strongly to this point, that if you are feeling you have to manage any part of your day, you are experiencing low-grade chronic stress. That feeling of having to control or manage a portion of your day is that understated low feeling that tells you your body is in a state that it cannot make change. We also have to remember, change is stress in itself, even if it's good change, right? Change is stress. So your body has to adjust. Your body has to do something to rebalance what's going on, just if you make change. And even if that change means feeling or doing things to make yourself feel better. So we know that when we're in this situation, our body hangs on to calories. We know that it doesn't do the normal processes as effectively: digestion, metabolism. We touch on this all the time. I unfortunately have to reiterate it, especially when it comes to weight loss, because it can be the most significant factor on why it's not working. And later on, we're going to get into fitness, and I'm going to tell you my exact example to prove that this was what was happening. So I don't want to get into this too much more here, because I want to touch on the other 2 points. But basically, if you don't have a daily routine to manage, not only manage, but work to decrease your stress that you're so used to you don't even know you have, then you cannot lose weight. So if you have to backtrack, implement a daily stress reduction routine. It can just be a few minutes. The key is daily, every day, even more significantly if you can do it around the same time of day so that it becomes a habit, and then that's not something added or a change to your system. That's the most beneficial way to do it. But that's numero uno, what you have to do here to help your body if your intention is down the road to lose weight. Number 2, you need to understand your body and what it is telling you if you want to lose weight. Change is natural in nature. Our bodies are meant to change, but we need to make change in a way that replicates nature. And that is like evolution. It is slowly over time. It's not a crazy, trendy diet that belongs to someone else. Remember, when you listen to someone else and follow their plan, you are listening to their body, not yours. They have developed a plan that works for their body, and it is impossible for the same plan to work on two different people. There may be parts of it you want to take and parts that you like. I do caution against a lot of that. I, if anything, suggest you look to the ideas, the concepts that they're working with. But if you're trying to eat food they like, in schedules that work for them, in routines that work for them, it cannot work for you. There are no two identical people on this planet. It cannot work for you. And if there's any part of it you don't like and you are trying to do it anyway, that is not meant for your body. Yes, that sounds dramatic, but it's true. If it's something you don't like, it's not going to work for you for more reasons than we know. And I'll try to touch on a lot of this as much as possible. Tonight has to be really kind of pointed and direct. Maybe some people will go, good, she won't ramble on. I don't know. But so I do ask for questions. And actually next week we'll kind of delve into a new level on this. So anyway, back to your body. You need to understand how your body works. And you need to know that if you're making quick change, that is not how your body is meant to change. So what's happening is that quick change is causing a rebalance, a readjustment, external change for your body to have to deal with it. And that's not the change you want to make. So if it's a quick change, there has to be a rehabilitation period, an adjustment period for your body. That's how your body works. So you can have a quick change, but then you need to recognize that there has to be an adjustment period to that, or else your body will counteract it and readjust to it. So imagine you just go crazy eating small amounts, diet packages, maybe it's natural foods, whatever it is. Your body has been working in a way to deal with what you're eating now. So it's going to do all these adjustments. Now imagine that you actually let go of that plan and your body has to readjust back. It's so much that we're asking our system to do that weight loss becomes the least of its worries in there, because it is doing so much rebalancing to counteract all the crazy moves we're making. So we don't want to do them that way. And I always say you actually want to trick your body into making the change. You want to do it in a way that it doesn't even realize you're doing it. So anyway, all that to say, we need to understand what our body's telling us. That is a lot of what I do with coaching, is helping people understand the signals and messages from their body when things are happening. And I'll again touch on this, but I need you to know that when you think something is going wrong, it's not. It's your body giving you a clue on how to do this right. Your weaknesses are clues to what your strengths are doing. So whenever something doesn't work, it's telling you and directing you in the way that it will work. So please never think when you're doing these things or trying to make change that it's failure. That doesn't exist in this. In nature, it's not failure. It's tweaking it. It's directing you. It's heading you into the way that will work for you. And often the failure comes from trying to do what worked for somebody else. So number 3, it's never one thing. We cannot just change one thing. When the problem feels this insurmountable, it's never just one thing. But the good news here is that because it's never one thing, it's actually not one big thing. It's only small little things that you need to be tweaking here to make this change. But you need to look at all of them, because there are so many little areas that will come together. And this is the really cool thing about doing this and working with your body. What people will find sometimes is that they start tweaking these little things. They're not, we're used to that, that crash diet for a week and we see, changes. That's actually not how it works. How it works is a little tweak and a little tweak and a little tweak. And you may even feel like nothing's really happening here. But then all of a sudden, your body will get in a mode where it's getting the message. It feels safe and it knows what you're trying to ask of it. And it starts to happen. That's how it's supposed to feel. And so when you do these little tweaks, you think that you can't possibly be achieving anything. This can't be doing what you want because, one, you're not seeing anything. It doesn't feel like you're trying hard enough. And then all of a sudden, your body will get in the zone, it will get in the mode, and these things start to happen. So it's never one thing because it's things that are outside of us. It's environmental impacts, it's emotional, it's physical, it's the food ingredients, it's when we eat the food, how much we eat the food, how we move with before, during, and after the food. It's the energy we take in, it's the energy we put out. There's just so many factors. It's our sleep, it's our stress. Funny enough, I'm going to throw this in here. I wasn't going to touch on this, but so many times when we feel hungry, and I'm going to talk on a lot of the reasons why we feel hunger because quite often they're misdirecting us. But one of the really key reasons we feel that we are lacking food or want food is often because of fatigue. And that really sounds crazy because really what your body's asking you to do is go lie down, rest, sleep, whatever, meditate, whatever helps you rejuvenate. But you're feeling hungry. What your body is telling you is that it needs to re-energize. And the fastest association we have, we actually associate hunger, or we associate so many things with hunger. So we associate that feeling with, I need more food, where really sometimes all we have to do is rest. And because we're thinking of burning calories, we associate, weight loss with doing more and exercising and all those things. And yes, there's a place for those, and we're going to talk about those. But quite often, a cat nap, a rest, a read a book, a quick meditation, a 2-minute stop to breathe and regroup can actually do a lot to decrease what we think is hunger. So I'm going to leave that there without going into it too much more because there's quite a few things we have like this. Another one that's like this is hydration. Our body is not very able to tell us when it's dehydrated. And so it often gives us what we think is the hunger signal to tell us that. Now, as we age, aging is a dehydration process. So we need to potentially be drinking more water as we get older. The interesting thing about hydration is we kind of do it a little bit like we do the yo-yo dieting. It's like, I'm going to drink more water, and we start guzzling more water for a couple of weeks, and then we sort of forget about it and drop off. Or we just drink tons of water once or twice a day and think that that's going to hydrate us. Hydration has to happen exactly like I say natural processes have to happen. They have to be slowly evolving. I don't know why my computer screen is doing that. Anyway, everything seems to work until I get into these lives, and then crazy things happen. So where was I? Oh yeah. So hydration. So we need to do it gradually and slowly, room temperature water regularly, slowly throughout the day. You may also want to look to concentrate minerals. So they will help you if it's natural salts and minerals that will help you retain the water, because you may find as you're trying to add water that your body won't adjust very well because it's just trying to rebalance to the max amount of water. But what does need to happen here, excuse me, I'm just going to try and fix this. Well, that didn't work, did it? Oh, goodness. Technology is not my friend. Okay. I don't know. Sorry about the crazy screen. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyway. So hydration, we have to assume with hydration that we are potentially just needing water and maybe getting used to that feeling associated with hunger before you just assume that your body needs more food. Another big issue we have here is vitamins and minerals. So what happens is our body, actually, when they talk about starving, we are starving for vitamins and minerals. Our food is starving for vitamins and minerals. Most of the time when your body is looking for more food, it's because it needs more vitamins and minerals. Because we eat so many foods that are lacking in vitamins and minerals, we now have associated that full feeling with a satisfying feeling. But what you really want to start doing is listening or experiencing that satisfying feeling in your body because it got enough vitamins and minerals, and not associating it with the full feeling. And that's simply the best way to do that is by eating vitamin-rich foods, which is really natural foods. And so we're not going to get into a lot of the strategies that I talk about with weight loss specifically. We have to talk in generalities today, unfortunately. But you want to look at least eating those as well as the other foods you're craving so that it experiences the feeling of more vitamins and minerals, and then slowly over time will adapt to wanting and telling you to get more of those. Mornings. We start our mornings off really working against ourselves right off the day, because what's happening during the night, our body is processing, it's trying to get rid of toxins, it's trying to go through all the processes so there's a complete elimination so that we can start afresh anew. We do all these things, and that detoxifying, that elimination type process is what helps us take in all the new vitamins and minerals, absorb water, absorb those vitamins and minerals, the enzymes in our food that builds up our metabolism, all these things. But what we generally do is we wake up and add to our dehydration process, which doesn't allow the last step of that process to happen. So if you're getting up and having coffee right away, or if you're getting, or tea or anything that's dehydrating, if you're getting up and eating a dense type breakfast, which we tend to, grains are a huge part of our early morning breakfast. It's really the slowest digesting, slowest moving food in our system. Basically, what you've done is if you look at your system as wanting to get rid of all these things and it stops here, waiting for you to flush it, to hydrate so you can flush it, it stops here, and then we just add more on. We're working against ourselves. You want to try to start to get up, to help hydrate so that you can flush your system, to eat lighter foods. It's a drastic move to go towards to go to fruits, but certain people will really benefit by starting there. You get rich vitamins, minerals, rich, strong enzymes. It's foods that break down really well so they don't weigh you down. When you are eating these heavier, low or higher density foods, you're really slowing down your bodily processes and just your whole energy for the day. So that may not be where you want to start your day. It may be something you want to have later in the morning. Maybe you just want to have smaller amounts throughout the morning. There's a million different ways we can adjust that. We won't go into them too much, but it's just something to think about, is that's really not where we want to start our day. You've started that heavy, full feeling, and your body will want to maintain that throughout the day. Chemicals in our food. Can't go into these in too much detail, but you will see in the comments link, I did add the link for the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So those are the Clean 15 fruits and vegetables. If you're worried about chemical intake, it's not a perfect solution. It's very hard to eat purely organic, or even be sure you're getting purely organic. Those are the best advice for items to focus on. And then you want to just remember this. When you are eating foods that you don't recognize the name, you're generally dealing with a foreign, unnatural, potentially chemical product. And when you do that, you throw your body out of sync because it really just does not know how to deal with it. So you have to imagine that this is causing issues in your body. It can be causing, we talked about on the March 1st live, we talked about bloating and inflammation. These things can cause extreme bloating and inflammation. So sometimes your weight is more that than anything, but it also causes your body to go into stress mode. It causes it to use energy to try and deal with them, and it gets no value from them. So you just always want to be considering that when you're eating these products, you may be taking one step back from what you are trying to achieve. It doesn't mean it's the sole cause. Remember, it's just not one thing, but decreasing these will always have different benefits to you and to your system, will actually have multiple benefits to you. Potential weight loss is just one of them, because when your body gets into these stress modes, it's obviously not going to let go of any other fats or calories that it does have, because it can't get even that value from these chemicals. So you really want to look at them. Sugars. Not only are these an addiction, and when there's so much information out there about false sugars, reproduced sugars. And of course, for years we thought they were diet solutions, and they've turned out to be even worse. You just need to consider this one simple fact. They are 200 times sweeter than even regular sugar. So what they're doing is creating a taste desire in your body for something that is 200 times sweeter than if you were just eating sugar. So you are setting yourself up to crave and want something that is only going to work against you. And assume you are even just eating refined sugars, which obviously are kind of the baseline of where we're assuming these other ones are 200 times sweeter than you. And really, this is a chronic issue that doesn't have a very simple solution, but really we have a chronic yeast and candida excess buildup. Everybody's body needs and has some in them, but because there is literally sugar in almost everything we eat, it can even be in multiple ingredients in a health food store. We have a buildup, especially if you're dealing with like that belly type fat. Yes, it can be fats on our organs, but it also can be a huge amount of candida buildup that can also cause inflammation. So it doesn't even mean it's just that type of fat issue. The first place you want to start here is trying to reduce sugars in your diet. There are multiple more expensive directions you can take to deal with candida. I use them with caution. I think you should seek a nutritionist, or at least provide some wellness and nutrition guidance, because dealing with it can also make you quite ill. It's really kind of a detoxifying process. So, but really you can't even do that until you look to decreasing it in your diet. Yes, natural sugars are always the better alternative. People can get caught up in which ones are better than what ones and what ones are how natural and all that. But really, what you're trying to do is decrease sugars where you don't need them, look to natural alternatives where you don't feel you can work around them, and then you can always improve on what those alternatives are as you get to that point. But this is a process that takes time regardless. I can promise you, no matter who you are or what your health issue is you want to improve, this will help with it regardless. Of course, it will help with weight, but you have to remember you're dealing with an addiction. And what happens if we try and go cold turkey very often is that we then flip back and overdo it once we're back taking it. So it has to be something that's done slowly and carefully over time. I do suggest guidance no matter which way you're going to approach this. It's a tough one. It's a battle, but always worth the effort. Overeating. We overeat because of quite a few of the issues I was talking about before. Well, obviously, emotional eating. Ironically, stress is the big one. But really, what we're trying to do is, I always say it's like, when you have you ever heard of stub your toe to not feel the pain of something else? So say you get a cut in your arm and it's really hurting badly. If you stub your toe, then you'll focus on that pain. I think our eating is often to do that for us, and it works so effectively that, of course, we do it all the time. But really, when our stomach is hungry and we're trying to, some other thoughts or emotions or feelings are coming up, if we can go eat something, then we focus on what that has done for us or how that made us feel, and we're not able to deal with the other one. That is basically a really rudimentary version of what we're doing when we're emotionally eating, but we need to learn to be comfortable with our body or our stomach, our body not being filled with food, because we've actually gotten used to that feeling. And what, aside from the fact that we're trying to gather weight loss with this process, what's actually happening is we want to give our body that empty opportunity, because that is where it rebalances. It's actually the place where our hormones have the opportunity to rebalance as well. And yes, we do this at night. So of course, the first place you want to start is decreasing when you eat before you go to bed, and you can add hours and times with that. Again, use caution here. It's a prime emotional eating time. So you want to do it slowly and back it up and have simple backup plans that kind of fuel you when you're having a day that's not going so well. Don't assume that it goes perfectly from the first day that you do it, but then you want to add more time throughout the day. If you're always putting food in your system, your body doesn't feel comfortable without that there. And just remember too that if you're feeling that hunger, make sure you go to water, because it will be dehydrated or feel hungry when it's dehydrated, because it has been also getting hydration from every food that you eat. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your hydration very consciously if you're trying to be more comfortable without food going in your system. So it's a bit of a tweaking process, and again, that's a rough, crass sort of version of that, but just to touch on that point. So then the other thing, we talk about bloating, we talk about inflammation. Inflammation can just be everywhere in your body, so it maybe doesn't obviously be causing a clear process that isn't happening like bloating does. Or if you look to how you're eliminating, excreting, for lack of a better term, how number 2's going, that's going to tell you how effectively your processes are going, and that's going to tell you if you're eating the right kind of foods, if your hydration is effective, if your your body is not in stress mode, because if it's in stress mode, it doesn't do that very effectively. So it's a great indicator of how things are going. Doesn't necessarily be, it's not necessarily something we feel like checking all the time, but even just knowing how and when it's happening and if things are happening effectively, it's a great message from your body to tell you how you're doing at feeling and fueling it. So we're going to get into a little bit more on the stress side of things, because I want to touch on this a little bit, because ironically, the biggest mistake I find people make is when they pay for quick solutions. So we have to remember that stress or guilt is a stress response. And so whenever we make a drastic change and then don't keep it up, when we invest in something radically and don't keep it up, when we purchase all these crazy diet foods and then they all go to waste, that guilt we have associated with the failure that we associate that with too is actually putting you in stress mode. So you really want to be conscious of the changes that you're going to make. And so if you're, not very versed at a gym and you just go buy a year membership, that may cause for guilt. Actually, it's the number one thing I find that people feel guilty about. And really, then you go through a whole year of guilt. So you want to think consciously of what it is you like to do, where you need some guidance. Start small. If you're going to hire a personal trainer, then just commit to a month or 6 weeks and see how it feels. Make sure that they're working with types of programs that you like to do. The same with, seeking guidance. Nutritionists generally have really good plans where they can just help get you going, and then you can build with them from there, depending. But even when it comes to shopping for these things, I really recommend not going and having this crazy shopping basket of healthy foods that you haven't eaten in years or months and starting there. You really just want to tweak one thing at a time. Go and shop for that area you're going to tweak on. When that goes well for a week, then add to that. So you have to remember, actually, I'm going to leave this point till a little bit later, because I think it will add on to this. You just have to remember that whenever you're committing to something, that you're setting yourself up for success. It's something you want to do and love to do, and it's like not a big leap. It's just a small change from where you are so that you can achieve it, and that when it doesn't go well, you have the ability to reflect on what didn't go well, and never ever assume that it's your lack of willpower. That's not how that works. Assuming that it's your lack of willpower is like saying that your body's messages to you are wrong. So it's not lack of willpower. When it didn't work, there was something you were doing that didn't work easily and effectively for your body. And so those are the tweaks you have to look at. It could be time of day. It could be preparation. It could be, how you set yourself up, what you wanted to do, did you go rest? Did you hydrate? Did you do all these other little things that may have helped you? And did you make a small change? So setting that aside for a quick sec, I just want to talk about fitness, because the biggest mistake I see people make when they want to lose weight, okay, I'm going to be honest, the biggest mistake I make when I want to lose weight, and usually when people come to me, they just want to hammer down on the fitness schedule. They want to go big, they want to go hard, they want to lose tons of weight. And generally, if we're looking at the middle of life type sequences, this doesn't work effectively. This doesn't work effectively unless we're young and under 20, maybe in our 20s. And even then, it didn't work effectively for many reasons too. And it definitely, even if you are of that age now, under the chronic stress that we live with and kind of the crazy lifestyle that we seem to have adopted, it's not going to work even now. But here's the most important thing when you're trying to think of weight loss and you associate it with making a drastic change in fitness is this. You overdoing fitness is going to, one, put your body in stress mode. It's two, going to tell your body to eat more because it needs more fuel. It needs more energy than it was getting because it had balance to the amount of what you were eating and the exercise you were doing back then. So that was balanced. So you're doing more, it's going to want more. And then secondly, it's going to tell itself to hang on to every source of energy that you possibly take in because you've radically increased it. And so everything it's going to do to hang on to fat, hang on to calories, to, keep you distracted from things that'll use your energy in other ways. It's just too much of a radical adjustment for you. So you need to make sure that your fitness increases also happen much like your nutrition changes. They happen slowly over time. Great to seek guidance on a lot of this because you want something that you can evolve with. Yes, you're going to have the days. If you have days and you feel good and you want to go for it and you have a trainer that's in your vibe and thinks you can go a little extra today, then do it. But if you're doing that every day and that's not how you normally operated, then you can be sure that you are throwing your body so out of balance that it will call for and need and take in and hold on to everything it possibly can past that point. And not only that, you put it in stress mode. It isn't used to operating at that level. It's going to call in all its normal energy resources and potentially deplete those if you give them up. That's why we overdo it, and that's why our body rebels at some point and we just don't feel motivated to do it. So don't do this mind over matter. If you're going from almost nothing to a regular regime, you need to listen to your body. And if you've got a great trainer and you go in that day and you're not feeling very good, they will be able to adjust your workout to suit the signals you're getting from your body. And I'm not suggesting that you want to cancel, but when people typically cancel, it's because they don't feel they're up to going to the level they had gone at, say, last workout or quite a few workouts before. And so that's really not how this works. If that's a habit you're trying to form, you want to go, but you also want to be able to work with whoever you're working with in a way that they can help you do it in a way that's not depleting your body of everything it can. And so I tell you this example because it's really important because yes, fitness activity, exercise is kind of, my favorite thing. And so when you're sort of feeling like you can't let go of the weight, then that is definitely, where I go to first. And for a long time when things weren't really working out with the weight loss that I wanted to do, I was working on tweaking all these areas. And interestingly enough, I decided to add in an hour, well, almost an hour. And this is going to sound crazy, but it was really hard for me, of Yin Yoga. And the big thing is, I used to teach power yoga. I love those more non-traditional types where, you're constantly moving. You're really, gearing up to do some of them. What I found interesting is how hard it was for me to do a more relaxed meditative yoga where I held positions. It was actually very uncomfortable for me. So much so I probably wanted to go eat. I literally wanted to do anything to distract myself from staying in that same position and being with my thoughts. It made me compelled to work at it a little more each week, and I was actually shocked at how quickly I adjusted. But that was kind of the final little trigger, which I talk about, that let my body let go of some of the weight. And it really feels like that was the final piece. I was putting all these pieces together, not seeing the consistent results. And then all of a sudden, when I worked at this for a few weeks, it just triggered my body. It needed the stretching. It needed the relaxing and calming atmosphere that it gave me. And it also gave me a break from more of the other type of exercise, and everything fell into place. So when you feel like you need to work out harder, more, faster to try and burn more calories, that's not always what your body is asking for you to do. So the last 2 points I want to get into is, and I touched on this a little bit, listening to your body, knowing that it's a natural vehicle. It works under natural processes. Oh, there's sirens now. There's natural processes. The big thing is that when you're trying to make change, you have to think of the natural cycles that you'll hear me talk about a lot. And what those cycles are that, I don't know where that's going. Those cycles are that you want to make your tweak. So I think of it as you want to evolve. So say it's weight loss. You want to, lose a bit of weight. You want to make the changes that will lead you to losing weight. That's great. Make those changes. But then what has to happen is you need to have the rest period. So we're in a cycle. So you change, evolve, you rest. That's your hold period. That's where you're going to just sit with what you've achieved and work with it. And then there's a readjustment, a rebalancing period. And sometimes that feels like you're going backwards, but it's not. This is how your body makes change. So if it feels like for a couple of days you're bloated, it feels like your clothes don't fit, you feel like you've gained nothing, that's okay. That's what it had to do, because then when it's ready, the next change and evolution will happen that much easier, that much better. But please remember that you still have to then rest. Let it hold, let it sink in, let it settle in your body, let it be a habit. Don't try and continually try to make more. You want to recognize what you've accomplished, sit with it for a while, let your body do the funky things it has to do. What's nice is if you let it do this readjustment and rebalancing period without freaking out, it's going to go, oh, okay, this is safe. This is good. And then it'll do the next cycle of change and evolution even easier. That's how we make change. That's how anything happens. That's how we evolve in fitness. That's how we change our nutrition patterns. That's how we change our sleep patterns. That's how everything evolves in nature. All of that cycle has to happen. We, as humans, freak out when it's not going straight up or straight down if you're looking at weight loss, but it's not linear, it's cyclical. So if we can just recognize what we're accomplishing when we're accomplishing it and be appreciative and satisfied and happy when that period happens, it will not only come around faster, it will even be better each time that we do this. And that's a big part of the messaging we need to tell our body. And this is really, I'm going to kind of get on to the last little part, is you are constantly sending messages to your body. And aside from the fact that I always say, if you're not going to fix the stress atmosphere in your body, you can't make this change. I can tell you this is the most significant factor to making this change. It is the neurological nervous system signals you are sending your body that are telling it what to do. So if you feel that you are not getting the weight loss accomplishment that you want to be getting, then you are sending the wrong signals. And I know that seems harsh, but we often don't even realize the things we are thinking, saying, feeling that are sending signals to our body. And so, a few things. If you can end your day or end a good portion of your day with sitting down and recognizing what you did right, that is sending messages, sending reminders, sending images to your body of the things you want to continue to do. So if you ate a really healthy lunch, if you sat and enjoyed it and just paid attention and ate it with gratitude and felt how good it felt in your body, then high five yourself at the end of the day. That's huge. But the fact that you give yourself a pat on the back reminds your body of that happening, how good it felt, how nutritious it was. It's like doing it twice. So think about it again when you go to bed. The more you think about it, the more you revel in the fact that you accomplished this, the more your body will want to do it more. And that's why when we do the things that cause us guilt and we condemn ourselves and knock ourselves down, if that not going to the gym is making you feel bad, then your body is going to think the gym is a bad thing. So you need to focus on your accomplishments. You need to focus on what went right. You need to focus on what you enjoyed, what went well. If you got to the gym only for 20 minutes or you went outside for a walk at lunch and you remember how good the crisp, clean air felt, how clear you felt when you came back and rejuvenated and relaxed, even if it's sitting quiet by yourself just to rest and relax, then those are the things you need to remind yourself that you not only did well, you just did. And that you want your body to do and want to do more of those. That's what will happen when you remind yourself of these. If you focus on what didn't do well, your body will not only make bad associations with these things, it will also be focused on these things. And that's not what you want. Another fun thing you can do is that when you see these attributes that you want to achieve, like someone made a beautiful, healthy sandwich or dinner and they're eating really well, then acknowledge that, at least to yourself, maybe to them, acknowledge it in other people. If you see someone going out for a walk consistently every day at lunch, notice that. And sometimes people go, I can't do that. They can do it. It's easy for them. No, that's not what you want to do. Just imagine how they feel doing it and say to yourself, I would like to do more of that. That must feel good. I want to feel that feeling. So always see the good things around you and others that are more of the good things. Whenever you appreciate something outside of you that is more of what you want to be part of inside of you, then your body will be more focused on helping you achieve that. And we'll actually delve into this one even more next week. How to do the impossible is how I've titled it. And so we're going to really go into, our body signals and how we want to get past. I have some fun exercises that we can do to how to get past the things that we don't believe we can do, that we can achieve. So one final word, kind of dealing on the stress and all of what we've been saying, is you want to be developing a better relationship with yourself so that you're sending yourself the right signals. You want to be saying that it's okay to lose this weight. I'm here to support you. I am here to protect you. I am here to fuel you, feed you, give you rest when you need it, comfort you when you need it, give you water when you need it. I am going to take care of you, take care of your needs. I'm going to listen to the signals that you tell me so that I know that I'm giving you what you need in the moment when you need it so that you can let go of the weight. You are developing this relationship with yourself, giving itself the confidence that you can let these things go because of all of the other things you are going to do for yourself. So remember, you're naturally meant to thrive. And together we can unlock the secrets to doing that. So join me next week. I look forward to seeing you, and thank you so much for joining me.